Okay, what's up, guys? Palutena's Armies episode 4. I'm Adrian. Vane's with me. What's up, Vane?
Not too much, man. Yourself?
I'm great. And we got two guests. Phil, would you like to introduce yourself?
Hiya. My name's Phil, and I was responsible for, kind of one of the articles that was on the website, actually.
Yeah, you had one article up, which, whatever, we're going to have other people on here, so nice to have you on here. We also have Matthew Doucette here.
Hi, I'm Matthew Doucette of Zona Games, an indie game studio.
Yes, and we put up a review of Decimation X3, which is one of my favorite indie games. And
Great.
Definitely we're going to have a review of Score Rush this next week, which is also a great game. I liked it a lot.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah, no problem. So we have not too much website stuff to talk about. We didn't put up reviews this week since we've all been, so PSN. Vane, how's that going for you?
It kind of hinders my ability to do stuff. I mean, there's some games, like in Dynasty Warriors' case, where I could review it without really exploring the online component. But at the same time, it kind of feels unfair to the games to not be able to look at it.
Yeah, definitely.
And not to mention with the PSN down, it's hard to get other games to start going for reviews. Like, I was actually planning on picking up Arcana Heart 3 there, but
yeah.
all I can do with the PSN down.
Yeah, it's a bummer for the developers on there, though, right now, since they're not getting paid for anything.
There's been talks about that. Apparently Sony has been actually talking to a lot of them. And I guess once the PSN is back up, they're actually going to help them with extra marketing.
Yeah, I think they're going to compensate them too. Yeah, so hopefully they get something there, because that's really a bummer. But so you had an article up. You want to just briefly talk about what was it been about this?
Basically my article was just kind of talking about how Sony really dropped the ball on everything going on. It was almost a week before they actually officially said anything about what happened, and it was that someone actually hacked into the main servers and got everyone's information, their personal information, their credit card information they had stored on the PSN, a little bit of everything.
Yeah.
Way to go, Sony. Way to warn us a week after the fact.
Okay, so a few things there. I mean, first, we could say that we're not really angry about them getting hacked since whatever, but the PR behind all of this has been really, really, really bad. And they also came out and said that they weren't aware to the extent of what happened. They knew it got hacked, but they had to call in experts to figure out what exactly was the huge consequence behind this. But
I'm sorry, but if they have to hire experts externally to figure out what the fuck happened to their servers, there's something wrong with their security to begin with.
Yes, that's an issue, but I still feel like people are, of course, Sony fanboys are on the side that, yeah, okay, they didn't know, so whatever, but I mean, still, you can still update, okay, we don't know what exactly is happening, we're calling in people, we're talking right now, we'll keep you updated. That's all they need to do. That should be like primary game to how you act to your customers, but they honestly didn't say a thing about this. They just kept saying, all right, we'll tell you when we get more information, but they didn't say a thing. So, I mean, that's kind of the big deal there, and that's basically what you elaborated on, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, I mean, that's basically the biggest thing. Another news article that happened was Project Cafe was confirmed and is showing up at E3. We kind of talked about all that last week, though. I mean, should be interesting to what to see. Maybe we'll have something up on it. I don't know. Pretty typical stuff. Another quick note is if you have Pinball FX 2, there is a tournament going up. Check up the article on the website. There's a lot of details. You can win some codes. You can win some swag there. So that's basically the quick wrap up. I mean, if PSN's up, I'm sure Vane will have something up. If
they're saying it may be another week, but I'll try and get some filler reviews in the meantime.
Yeah, you know what, though? I might be doing I'm to start filling in some other filler reviews, too. And I got a lot coming up this next week. So I was set to do all my stuff yesterday, and then Hulu Plus came on Xbox Live, and we all get a free week for it.
Nice.
And I totally got lost there for a full day on watching Lost. I was rewatching Lost. I watched the first episode of Yu-Gi-Oh! And I watched the last episodes just to see what happened. I watched have you guys ever heard of the adult version of Ren and Stimpy?
Yes.
I haven't either.
That is abysmal. Oh god.
Yeah, that was pretty bad.
It was the worst half an hour I spent watching something. And then
it could have been worse. It could have been Stripperella.
Oh, that's on there too, so I'm gonna go watch that.
Oh god.
I'm probably gonna end up buying Hulu Plus. I love this thing. And then if you guys have Netflix streaming too, this is on there. Darkon. Darkon is basically a documentary about a bunch of real life role players who, in real life, they go to probably like this forest or park, and they literally plan out. They have maps, and they attack each other like this. It's seriously like real life role playing. It's the craziest thing to me, but it's so entertaining to watch. I'll
have to check that out.
Yeah, definitely. It's people arguing. Like they get in literal arguments, arguments as if you would get into like a real life situation with like your coworker or something. But they get into arguments, but it's over like this fantasy realm. They were arguing about how one was a traitor and how they're gonna leave, and it was great. I enjoyed it.
Gotta love LARPers. Gotta love them.
Yeah.
It was great. But yeah, so I mean, whatever. If you got Hulu Plus, definitely check that out. It's pretty awesome. All right, so considering we had an hour-long episode last week, we pretty much wrapped up most of everything in about 6 minutes. All right, so Phil, you had an article up. Do you want to talk about that since you had that up a while ago?
Yeah, it was like a while ago. It was basically really like tackling the issues of like video game criticism. So like I talk a little bit about people who think they aren't a true art. I also talk a little bit about like kind of video game persecution for like causing kids to behave violently and like kind of people who seem to think that, and it's just really just like raising awareness that there is no particular distinction between like video games and films, and like parents just need to be more aware of this.
Yeah, since a lot of that stuff does have a parental lock on it. Since Matt, we were talking about it in before the podcast here, and you primarily download games. This is correct, right?
That's right. Yeah.
All right. So, do you have a stance on this whole like M rating games and stuff like that, and how that's all going about?
Well, is there anything happening with this, like that's new, or just
No, it's pretty much the same stuff. We just kind of elaborated more on what's going on. Since because on downloadable games, there's not really a barrier there. I mean, if you sign up underage, you're not getting an M-rated game there. And
I see. Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, do you have an opinion on like I guess because the games often get criticized as to cause kids to have violent outbreaks or whatever. Do you kind of see that, or?
You mean, okay, there's kind of two things. Do I think that there's a connection between games and basically the way children act violently? Is that what you mean? Or?
Yeah. Do you think there's a connection there? Because that's what they get prosecuted for primarily.
Yeah, I think it's blown out of proportion. I mean, there's no matter what, there's connection. What we see and experience in the world it shapes who we are. There's no question that our experiences help shape who we are. But there's a definite intelligence behind every child that knows whether something's real or not. Fantasyland, and there was violence before. There's violence in cartoons before, like. I don't know, like Disney cartoons had. I don't know if Disney.
Oh, it was. What was it? It was. I think it was Disney, or who has. I don't even. Yeah, you know what? You lost me there too. I thought I had it on me.
Yeah.
But, they had real life propaganda on there, like when.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah, Disney in the early days did have a lot of propaganda.
Yeah, there was
in their
Disney.
cartoons.
Yeah, and I mean that stuff just happens.
Yeah, and when I saw, like, let's say, so I can't even really think of all the characters, but I just remember like certain Sam or something shooting Bugs Bunny with shotguns and
yeah,
stuff like that.
you can search these up on YouTube.
Something.
Yeah, they're on YouTube, so definitely go search that up. But they're really interesting to watch because I mean those outlets also have violence, but I mean games often just get criticized because there's an interaction with it. But then again, I mean when you interact with it, you also to a certain point. I also think is that you also understand that it's fantasy and that this isn't real.
Well, that's the thing. Like when a cartoon, someone gets shot with a shotgun, and clearly a fantasy cartoon thing, like some of those like the cartoons I was just mentioning, it's clear that that's that a child realizes that's just fun. That's just like fake. It's fantasy. I think video games. The two problems that video games have to deal with is one is that it's interactive, and the next one is that some of the stuff is getting very realistic. And the more realistic it gets, the more you kind of challenge it. Well, do they know it's fantasy? But I mean, I really think that movies have been realistic because they use real people and acting, and some scenes can happen that can look real. So I mean, the same kind of attacks can be put upon movies and whatnot, and even I remember like gangster rap was under attack for the same type of stuff.
Yeah,
I know there's certain connections with this stuff, but it's the whole chicken and egg. Like maybe someone's violent already, and they're partaking in viewing this stuff. It's not necessarily the movie or the game that's making the person that way. Yeah,
definitely. One of the biggest ones that comes to mind was in the Columbine massacre, which I don't know if you or Phil know about this, since you guys since you guys are both out of America. Columbine was a school shooting that happened here. I don't know what year ago exactly. Do you remember, Vane?
Not off the top of my head.
It was definitely around 2000, like early 2000s, and it was two kids who basically
it happened in 1999.
1999. Okay. Yeah. So it was basically two kids who shot up a school, and after further investigation, that they found out that they were big Doom players, and because of that, it was Doom, and I believe they listened to Marilyn Manson. And because of that, both Marilyn Manson and the video game Doom were under attack for causing this. And
well, surely the parents should be under attack.
Yeah, that's the thing. Is I mean, the fact parents are very disconnected with their kids when it comes to whether they're bullied or this or that. But that can be said about school in general, though.
That's right. I don't know how far into that you wanted to go, but I'm pretty familiar with that, and I was a huge id Software fan, and I didn't really like that they were being attacked on something that was, to me, was clearly not their fault. Like, it was just so, when you think about it, making Doom is at fault of this event is too disconnected, right?
Yeah.
But so I kind of knew a bunch about it. I remember watching some protests against video games and whatnot. One guy in the protest was basically talking about, I can't remember, he just picked on some car company having a car ad. I can't remember which company it was. It doesn't even matter. But he's basically just saying, like, when, not everybody who listens to the ad buys a car, but some people do. And that's what he was trying to say, the same thing with video games. Not everybody plays Doom, kills somebody, but some people do. And the problem there, even though it sounds like a good point at first, but the problem there is the people who buy a car from a car ad were looking to buy a car anyway. That's the difference, right? Like, you're not going to have somebody who's not shopping for a car watch a car ad and buy a car. It doesn't work like that. There's always more to the story than what they're trying to say.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
So I guess, does anyone else have any thoughts on that, or is that pretty much wrapped up?
I'd say
That about does it.
All right. Okay, so I guess since that's all wrapped up, we have a topic to talk about this week. Since Matt does indie games, we're going to talk about downloadable games and what's some... You being an indie developer, do you have any inspirations of any indie games that really push you to throw up the next limit to your games?
My inspirations... Actually, my biggest inspirations actually come from indie companies, more than any specific indie game itself.
Yeah,
it's the people behind it.
Do you have a few examples?
By. Yeah, I do. Id Software. It's funny we're just talking about that. I am huge fans of like the early id, when they were very small, like let's say 10 people big, when they were making Doom, when they first made that mark. There's a book on that entire story that I recommend everybody read. It's called Masters of Doom. And if you were to read this, if you're into video game development at all, you will probably share my position and respect these guys even more so than what you might already respect them for. But so they were a huge inspiration. They were just two guys, basically John Romero and John Carmack, starting up, and it was very familiar to like my brother and I when we were kids, like all the problems they went through with trying to get into gaming. And at the time there wasn't very much respect for video games, and it seemed like a waste of time. And these are opinions that kind of came our way from society when we were just kids, not knowing any better, kind of trying to, you were kind of pushed away from it, and so were they. And look at how successful they became when they just refused to be pushed away from it. So I'm inspired by their skill, but also their tenacity, I guess, like with just not giving up on their dreams. And more recently, I'm inspired. The Behemoth is really inspiring.
Oh yeah, those guys are great.
Yeah, I just love those guys. I love that team. I don't really know them on a personal level at all, but I just see what they do and how they do it, and I like everything that they do. So
it's definitely something to be appreciative that they hand draw basically everything, and that's something crazy nowadays.
Yeah, it is, and it's cool how they've done it. That one of the highest rated, best-selling Xbox Live Arcade games is basically an old-school 2D beat-em-up game. Castle Crashers. I think goes to show there's some major value in those games, where before Castle Crashers, I was like going back and playing Sega Genesis games to play these games,
Yeah.
And so I think with Zona Games, with like my company, what I'm trying to do is, kind of go in that same space that they're in, not really directly competing with them. We're doing shoot 'em up games, and we have other ideas. I don't even think that. I think they help actually pave the way to make it easier for us to get there now, but I really respect what they've done.
Yeah, definitely. It's funny because on Xbox Live Arcade, there's a lot of examples of indie games that end up selling a lot. I mean, recent examples can be Dishwasher. Dishwasher's doing great. And Limbo last year. Limbo was one of the most highly rated games, I believe, on the download side. And that was a great game.
Limbo and Braid were those two games kind of stand out to me as amazing games. Just very innovative,
Yeah.
And Dishwasher is cool. James Silva, like Sky Studios. I don't know how to pronounce that.
Scott Studios.
Yeah, I've met him a few times at GDC, and he's in the Xbox Live indie game scene as well, because he has the best-selling Xbox Live indie game. I made a game with zombies in it.
Yeah.
So he's kicked some major ass on both Xbox Live Arcade and on indie games. So he's inspirational to us too.
Yeah, he's definitely a big name in that. Actually, I want to go off on a little tangent here to talk about Xbox Live. Oh, sorry about that. To talk about the Xbox Live indie games, I guess, was the ratings thing. Do you want to talk about your experience with that?
Oh man,
we've had a few articles up on here. We've had a few articles on here about what exactly happened, but I know you and Zona are one of the primarily more vocal people about this. that I've seen around.
Yeah, I'm surprised more. I think I care about Xbox Live mini games more than the average person, gamer, developer, whoever. I think I care about the system more, and I've definitely have ruffled a few feathers by just basically being vocal about certain ideas that I've had to fix it and whatnot. I've even written proposals to like one of the co-founders of the initiative itself.
Yeah, you showed me that. That was actually really interesting. I'll link that actually in the article.
And all that was because of I have a passion. I love indie games, and it doesn't mean I love every single indie game that's on Xbox Live indie games. Most of them are not very good. And at first, it was kind of like this thing we weren't really allowed to say it. It's not really a problem. The idea I had. It wasn't really a problem that we have low quality games. Everything that's user generated has low quality input, like websites. That's what, websites. When I make a website, I don't have to worry about other low quality websites being made because Google will still find my site, kind of thing.
Yeah.
And whatever the platform is, just handles the low quality. And I wanted Xbox Live mini games to be the same way. So we didn't, because what happens internally is that if I release a game that I have spent a lot of time on, that I feel is high quality, and then in the next few days, like let's say 20 games at the time, the dashboard was only 20 long. In the next few days, if 20 quickly produced, very crappy games come out, they just bump me right off that new release list, and I don't get my time of day. And so, right there, imagine if you made a website, and then the next crappy websites that come out kind of bump you out somehow. Like then there's animosity back and forth between like the website developers. That's what happens, and that's what happens inside with the indie games. I was saying the platform should kind of be the moderator of that. That it kind of recognizes the quality games, so it doesn't bump them out by low quality ones. And there's all kinds of different ways to do this. And my proposal talked about the way that I thought it should be done. But I'm kind of getting off topic there. But yeah, with the rating system, so I wanted to start out with that I'm a fan, because this rating system has actually hurt us. And so when I'm talking about it, I'm going to be talking negatively about Xbox Live indie games. And that's one point I was making to Microsoft. It's like, you realize every single time I talk about Xbox Live indie games from now on, how hard it's going to be for me not to talk about it in a negative light.
Yeah.
Because the bottom line, what happened to us, our top two games, Decimation X3 and Score Rush, were about top 30. And the list is now actually, that shows on the Xbox it shows the top 50. You can click to show more, but most people really don't do that because once it just doesn't happen that often. So ours is about, I think ours was like 32 and 33 on the list, something like that. And this is in the U.S. only. This only happened in the U.S. And now, I think today they were rated. They got bumped down to 160 and 170 within a matter of months. But actually, the major change actually happened within a few days. Honestly, like it was, we went to we were 90 or something. And for us to go from the top 90 to the top 170, I think it only took 2 days for that to happen. We're just getting nailed with 1-star votes pretty consistently, about 5 every single day. And with our games, I think we got hurt the most because our games were rated high, but they really weren't the most popular games in the service in terms of how many votes they got. So a single bad vote was actually hurting our total more than somebody with twice as many votes or 10 times as many.
Yeah.
So it really killed us. We got hammered out of submission. Microsoft eventually stopped these bad votes from coming in. And the way they did that, I think you can correct me on this, because I think they just stopped voting from Xbox.com.
Yeah, they stopped voting, or they stopped the silver members voting from Xbox.com. I believe silver members can still vote from the dashboard.
Right. Gold members, you mean? Gold members can still vote from the dashboard.
No, I think rating in general for gold members can rate in general, I believe. But
yeah, from any. You're right. Sorry, I just mixed up your words.
No, that's fine. So yeah, gold members can vote in general, and I think silver members can vote on the dashboard only, and they can't vote on the website. So
yeah, and the reason was because silver accounts could be made on the fly, and just continually vote us down. Whereas gold, you have to pay for it, so people aren't going to just be paying $60 for every account.
Yeah.
So Microsoft stopped it from happening, but they didn't go back and remove the other votes. I can't remember word for word, but it's somewhere on their
I believe
blog.
They said that they investigated this, but found that it couldn't be done.
Right. They used the word. I don't think they used the word impossible. They did basically were saying it couldn't be fixed.
Yeah.
Which is not really true. What it really means that they're just not going to put resources into fixing it, and it's probably just not worth their time to. But I found that it's somewhat, the people that were picked on were the 4-star and above games. It wasn't just us.
Yeah.
It was the 4-star above games. I think there was like 90 of them, and now there's only GameMarks.com has tons of stats on it, and he actually has some stats showing how many 4-star games there were then, and every single kept dropping, and now there's only like 30. So everybody got kind of nailed down, but we got really hammered because the lack, if 100 bad votes came in on every game, ours it affected our games more because we didn't have as many votes, and also it affected other people who had just released their games. And our games our games only came out in December, so they weren't even really out for all that long.
Yeah, you guys were part of the Indie Uprising, right?
That's right, yeah. Decimation X3 was. So a lot of those games were 4-star games, and a lot of those got hammered.
Yeah.
Like, for example, Z-Boy Games, Robert Boyd.
Yeah, I was going to bring that example up. They got hit pretty hard, too.
Yeah, they got hit, even though they didn't get nailed out of commission like we did. We're just completely off the charts. But the amount of money he's making per day is now half. So I mean, it has real life consequences to getting knocked down on those rating lists. So I mean, I can't. It's hard for me to really. I think what Microsoft should do is just simply do what's right. Just do what's right. In this circumstance, I know it's not a money-making thing, but just show that they're going to treat the developers right. The developers that were hit on this were the quality developers, and this is on a platform that has suffered from lack of quality. So we're like one of many developers that are doing the right thing, by not trying to sell out the system. We didn't make any massage games and avatar games trying to sell out the system, which has hurt everybody in the long run.
I feel like even then, the 360 is the home for a lot more indie developers than the PS3 or Wii, just solely because of the Xbox Live Indie marketplace.
Right.
So it would be to their favor to keep that, I would suppose.
I think so too, and they should just it was the complete opposite of what my proposal was saying. Even though my proposal was a technical thing on how to fix but the philosophy of my proposal was basically treat the quality developers the best. That's basically what it was. And when you do that, and you can see how that's not what they did right now. And when you do that, if you treat them the best, make them make the most money, you have other people fighting to become a quality developer because that's how you make money. When you let the system kind of just be whatever it's going to be, the way to make money is not to spend a year making a game. It's just to put out a bunch of crappy games, and then eventually one might hit, and try to make sure that you do avatar games. Try to make sure you do all these things that are kind of, once all the other gamers have kind of come and left because they don't really like what's on the system, whoever's left are the people trying to find odds and ends.
Yeah.
That's what I. See what I mean? So that's what you have to start making.
Even so, there's not much outside of ratings that you guys can do to promote. I mean, you guys all have a sort of following on Twitter and stuff. But when you go straight to the dashboard, you see right away what's brand new on the Xbox Live Arcade or games on demand. It's all dependent there. But I mean, even so, like, you still have to search for the indie marketplace, and even then, it's the most recent that's come up and not the most like the highest rated or the most downloaded. It's very hard to promote on the dashboard for indies. The most I seen was I think the Indie Uprising got a slot on the spotlight, but that was the most I seen. Yeah. So
we got a spot on the dashboard, and that hardly made a difference. Actually, I think what it is, the indie games, what Microsoft should realize that they're really behind this. I'm not even sure if they really want it to be. Maybe what indie games is exactly what they want it to be, and what I want it to be is just beyond what they ever envisioned. But where was I going with that? What I was getting at was like the reputation of indie games is already out there. So even if you get a dashboard promotion now, people still realize, oh, it's just those indie games. Then they're not really as attracted to trying them out.
I still feel, even though it sounds shallow, I still feel like achievements can be the biggest part of that. And I think I was talking to you about this, was if they separate apps and games together, you can easily put achievements into the games. That's
right. Yeah, I've actually been a huge advocate of achievements for indie games too.
Yeah, it sounds shallow, but I mean that what entices, like that's a staple on every 360 game at this point. That's what makes 360 games, and it just feels like a sellout to indie games that they're different because of that.
That's right, and to me, like, there's different types of people with achievements. Some people are like achievement whores is what they're called, I guess.
Yeah.
They just want to get the points, right? I'm not like that, but I like completing games. I've always been like someone who wants to finish a game, and now I kind of feel like the achievements I have to be finished for me to complete that game. So when I play a game that I don't just play a game for achievements. When I play a game I like, I want to get all the achievements within that game. And with all these indie games I play, there's no credit. That's the credit system. So I have no credit for finishing all these indie games that I have played and finished. So,
sorry. So we've got. Okay, so wow, that was a long tangent.
Yes.
So anyway, you had so best downloadable games would work. I guess I haven't heard from Vane or Phil this whole podcast. I'm feeling bad here.
It's all good.
Phil, do you have any examples of like downloadable games in general that you just really attach yourself to?
Not really. Normally, when it comes to browsing through like the latest arcade or indie games, I normally just hit like kind of a load of trial games and leave them on the queue.
Yeah.
And I'll just like kind of go through each one and then determine which is worth my money, if you know what I mean. So really, in that respect, I'm quite selective with like arcade games.
Were there any in particular that you've liked recently?
I've really got into Shadow Complex actually.
Oh, that's a while back, man.
Yeah, I mean, I am quite slow, but I realised with that game that, it was one of very few that actually injected like kind of the kind of scope of a full-length game, but rather kind of compress it into this like kind of small little kind of original, kind of platforming.
Yeah,
so
I think Shadow Complex was in a lot of ways a game changer, because that really made people Shadow Complex and Battlefield 1943 made people really realize that arcade games were getting closer to console games in general. Okay. So that makes sense. Vane, you were on the PSN side of things. So what are you thinking? What are you doing over there?
We don't really get a whole lot of indie stuff we do, but at the same time, Sony doesn't make the same effort that Microsoft does to actually show that they're indie. They just kind of get all lumped together in the big mass that is the horrible PSN marketplace.
Yeah. Did you have any on there? Because they're the one game that I generally, when I do get a PS3 eventually, I'm gonna try out Shatter. Have you played that?
I have not had a chance to check out Shatter yet.
Definitely check that out. But are there any other? Because I know there's like the Pixel Junk games are big on there, aren't they?
Oh yeah, they're huge, and they're actually some of my favorites too. Pixel Junk, the tower version. Wow, drawing a blank here. Monsters. There we go. Pixel Junk Monsters and the Pixel Junk shooter games. By far, one of the best series on there.
Yeah, definitely.
Those games, if I had a PS3, that's the Pixel Junk shooters one game I miss out on for sure.
Yeah. No, I hear a lot of praise. That's usually like when I hear PSN, I hear Pixel Junk in the same vicinity. I'll go last, but Matt, go ahead and continue on with downloadable games that you enjoy particularly.
Download. You mean just recently?
And recently, yeah, more so recently then, I guess. You can, whatever.
I actually just finished Trials HD. I was getting all the achievements.
You
on
know,
that was pretty fun.
I was gonna reply to you. So so this is one problem I have with achievements is that when an update comes out, you immediately lose that completion.
Yeah,
And that I feel like that's a problem there. But yeah, you got. So how long did you antagonize over the marathon achievement?
I played it probably between 10 and 20 times.
Wait, you tried 10 or 20 times and you got the achievement?
Yeah.
Oh man.
Yeah. I got it but when I do that stuff, I do it I don't try hard achievements unless I'm in playing the game. So I play that game a lot with my son. I have a 6-year-old son, and he loves playing the game and making levels on it. I mean, it's great. It's just amazing the stuff that he comes up with. And you can kind of see, anyway, it's an amazing game just for that alone.
Yeah.
So I play it a bit, and he always has me trying his tracks, and he makes these tracks that are so hard. And I just try, and if I can't do it after like 5 minutes, then I'll go in and change it. But so with that, like I was kind of like staying skillful at it, I guess. So, and then I thought, you know what, I'm going to come back and try this achievement that I never got before. And I just stick to it, just play that one thing. It's weird. There's a way to get those achievements, because that achievement is about not making mistakes, you know? Like you have to play 20 tracks without a fault. So, and there's ways to do that. One way is like just don't give up and restart the moment that you screw up. Go through the entire track. If you screw up, try to finish off the whole thing without messing up again.
Yeah.
And doing it that way is so much more efficient. You get really good at it.
Yeah, so I turned into a completionist like at the beginning of this year, but Trials HD was the one game that I was like, you know what, I'm gonna get this completion. And on the day on December 31st, I antagonized myself for 12 hours straight. Just I seriously, because my hand was cramped up, I could not move my hand. It was literally 12 hours. That's I think Trials HD is my most played XBLA game because of that. I antagonized myself. I was angry. I was frustrated.
Right?
Yeah, I got it.
Yeah, sweet.
I got it like 2 hours before New Year's, and I was like, "There you go." And oh man, there were times I would crash on level 19, and those levels are not like 2 seconds. Those levels last you like 30 seconds to a minute too. So once you get to like around 15 to 20, you're already spending like 10, 15 minutes on this, and when you crash, man.
It felt really good to get it. That's what I like about gaming, is challenge myself and overcoming that challenge. That's why I like achievements. It's the hard ones that I actually like.
Yeah, that Trials HD is definitely like one of my highest prestiges on achievements. But man, that game.
There's a trueachievements.com site that's great.
Oh yeah, I think I added you on there. I'm always on that thing. Yeah,
and that's my second highest achievement. My highest one is the 1,000,000 points in Geometry Wars 1 without playing. It's actually harder.
Have you tried Geometry Wars 2? I'm sure you have. Did you ever go for Smile?
Yeah, I've done all of those too.
Oh man. Yeah. See.
I love Geometry Wars. It's very like the games that we make. Really.
Score Rush is definitely echoes back to Geometry Wars, no doubt.
Yeah, and it wasn't even meant to be a Geometry Wars clone or anything like it. Actually, it's a scrolling shoot 'em up. People think it's an arena. It's actually a scrolling shoot 'em up. The enemies crash into the background. You just can't really see because of all the effects.
Yeah, wait, are they really scrolling down?
Yeah, the background scrolls.
Oh, yeah.
It's using the Duality ZF engine.
Yeah, so when you're playing that game, everything's so chaotic. I didn't even notice.
Yeah, nobody does. So it's no fault to you to not realize that. And of course, the neon graphics and then multi-directional.
Yeah, I was
playing
that this morning to get some footage, and my mind was just getting blown at 6 o'clock in the morning with all these colors flying around, and
it's pretty intense. Yeah. And it's interesting. The reason it has multi-directional is because it was a bullet hell game, and bullet hell games generally were basically invented in arcades, which have tilted screens, so they're not very wide but very tall. Of course, on our TVs, we have wide screens. Even a 4x3 might be too wide, but now we have it even wider. How do you do a bullet hell game where your ship moves really slow? How can you cover the entire area of the screen left and right?
Yeah.
And we were like, let's just make it multi-directional. And it ended up being, so really in a sense, it's almost the world's first, really. I mean, there's some other examples of it, but bullet hell multi-directional game, that's really what Score Rush is. It's actually more correct to say it's a multi-directional bullet hell game. But of course the neon graphics with that multi-directional really gave it a Geometry Wars type feel, but really it's not, because Geometry Wars you don't have to deal with bullet patterns and all.
Yeah, that or there's no real bosses per se in there either.
Yeah, and all that.
Yeah, so. It definitely keeps personality away. There's one thing, I don't mean this to, because I brought this up before. When I've sent you my review of Decimation. Is there like an active? Is it just that you actively avoid online leaderboards, or is that more of a? Because I know you guys are. When I look at your Twitter, both you guys are very into the whole take a screenshot of your score and send it to it. That's the way old school games were. Is that intentional, or is it just way hard to code for online leaderboards?
It's not really too hard to code. What happened was, well, for one, the screenshots, that's just from fans sending us them on their own. We never really even... Maybe I've asked a few times or something, but I don't even remember. That's mostly just from fans posting it. And I use TweetDeck, so I see all the posts that deals with our games. And I'll retweet the really great ones all the time, because I just think that's amazing. Some of the scores these guys are getting... one guy got over 30 million points in Decimation X3, and if you play the game, my high score is 12 million.
Yeah, that game picks up crazy.
So it's insane. That type of skill, it just blows me away that people can get that are that good at it. Anyway, and then the online leaderboards, we actually promised them in Decimation X. We've been blasted for that so much because we never fulfilled that promise, and that's a big lesson for us as developers, not to make promises, because you never know what's going to happen. Every day in a business, what you do is what the best thing to do is. Whatever the best thing to do is what you should be doing. And at that time, it quickly didn't become the scoreboards very quickly right after we released Decimation X. It was these other contests in Dreamville Play that we were entering. They were way more valuable to us. But of course, you can't really communicate all that stuff to fans. And here we made that promise. So we did come back to it. We wanted to be true to our fans. So we came back and we decided to do it. And we actually, if you go to we started working on our own online scoreboards. We made it way, way better. We even had everything Xbox Live arcade games would have. We had everything they had, plus even more stuff. That I wish Xbox Live Arcade would have, and it's all these advanced, not really advanced, but just innovative things to do with sharing accomplishments. For example, an Xbox Live Arcade game doesn't share. You can see your score. Let's say in Geometry Wars, if I load it up, I'll see my score versus yours, but you can't see that I got smile. You know, you could see it if you went to my profile, but wouldn't it be cool to show right next to that I got 200 of 200 on this game as well? It's not just the scores, it's also the achievements. So we were going to share even stuff like that. Project ended up becoming bigger than any video game that we worked on. We call it Score Share, and if you go to like Zona.com/Score Share, you'll actually see like a temp website that we're going to like kind of as proof that we were working on it, but it doesn't. All it says is coming soon. And then it ended up being like kind of this thing that we're going to give out to everybody. We wanted everybody on Xbox Live Indie Games to use. We just realized it was kind of didn't make sense as a business to do this. We're wasting too much money on it when we weren't making that much money. And so we kind of jumped into that promise too deep and then didn't complete it.
Yeah, but
that's just part of the growing pains of us as the indie developer, really.
That's good. You guys had your scope out there, though. That's always a good thing to hear.
Yeah, so we really were. So to answer your question, we were really into having shared scores. We were on it, like we were really into it, but so into it, just made mistakes, and that's why it hasn't happened.
Yeah,
it's unfortunate, really.
Can we expect a more basic leaderboard from whatever you guys have preparing coming up next, or?
Yeah, they'll be more basic. If any game we release now will have, actually it's already coded into Destination X3 and Score Rush. It's already coded, but it's not completed, and we just haven't put out the update because right now we're working on other stuff. Basically is what it comes down to. Why would we update a game that's now been bumped off the list and we're making no money from? It's
that
we do that for the fans, but as a business, you just can't always. That's a difficult part right there. Right now, what we need to do is work on other things, which is actually Duality CF, and we're working on trying to get that on Xbox Live Arcade and PSN. And the amount of work to do that is just insane, especially because we're first timers at it. So that's where the hobby kind of, what we want to do is please our fans, especially the true fans, with those scoreboards and whatnot. But that's where it like kind of grinds against us maintaining as a business. And if we don't maintain it as a business, there's not going to be any more Zona games coming out. So
yeah, that's understandable there.
Yeah, that's understandable when I have an opportunity to explain it, but it doesn't come out and off like fans and stuff are just not really going to understand stuff like that. That's why even to some degree, I mean, Sony and all these problems are going through. Actually, even though they're not really, I actually kind of feel for them. When problems happen, you can't always do the proper thing. Even Microsoft I'm kind of upset that they didn't fix, our ratings, but I do understand it from a business perspective how it makes no sense for them to do that.
Yeah.
I do even understand with Sony why it doesn't make sense for them to spell out what they're doing when they don't know what happened yet.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I do actually have some feeling, but at the same time, I'm also the gamer wishing that Microsoft would fix those ratings, wishing Sony would have let everybody know what was going on, especially with the credit card stuff and.
Yeah.
So it's almost like once you understand all these different perspectives, it's kind of hard to really be too judgmental.
Yeah, it's definitely lopsided there. But no, all right. So I got that. I'm still gonna have to knock you a little bit on Score Rush, but I understand why now. So it's all good.
Yeah. No, it definitely would be better. We wanted it. Nothing would make me happier if I had leaderboards and achievements in Score Rush. In fact, I think that because our games are so simple, they almost need that stuff more than other games do.
Yeah. So yeah, that's all understandable then. So I guess cause man, we're going off long tangents here.
Yes.
It's all right. So other downloadable games, I guess that we can notable ones that there are a few notable ones. I mean. I'm supposed to review Clash of Heroes HD and Outland. Outland is I assume Vane would be the one to like this. Have you heard of Outland, Vane?
I've heard bits and pieces, but I haven't actually looked into it much.
Okay, literally look at the game because it has an amazing art style. it's cool because, I mean, especially running off of Dishwasher being one of my more, I love the style of Limbo. I love the style of Dishwasher, and because those are like really dark games and it looks really neat. But then Outlands is just a very colorful and bright game. It's cool. Definitely, the art style is cool. I still need to play more to get a word on that though. Other games that we've had this year, I mean, we've had I can't even think of that many this year. There are a lot of notable ones though on Xbox Live Arcade, and the one thing I can appreciate is that they're always actively doing a deal of the week, which gives you a lot more opportunity to get more games on there. So, I mean, was there a standout XBLA game of this year that you played, I guess, or a downloadable game in general, Matt?
This year, let me think. I don't know. I just played Outland. Actually, I played that last night. That was pretty amazing. Charles HD. Honestly, but how long has it been since that's come out?
That game came out, I believe, in the. Was it the? I don't know if it was the first or second.
It's been 2 years, I think. Now, it wasn't last year. It was the year before.
I think
it came out the same year as Shadow Complex.
Then that was the second, I think.
Those are the top 2 games of 2 years ago, I think, on Xbox Live Arcade.
Yeah, that was 2009. Yeah, that was 2009.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
It's kind of funny that we both just talked about Charles HD and Shadow Complex, but it really goes to show how amazing those 2 games really are.
Yeah, you know what, though? You're probably going to blast me. I have Shadow Complex. I still haven't played that much of it, though. It's one of those games, like, I do this with games that are really good sometimes. I just sit on them because I know I can't invest the time into them. I talked about this before. Defense Grid is an amazing XBLA game, and I've been sitting on that for over a year, I think. But I finally got to it, and I really love it. So, I mean, I'm going to play Shadow Complex soon. But, man, I have so many games right now I need to get through right now that I have no time to invest into it. But, yeah.
A bunch of games that kind of stand out to me. I think they all came out last year, like Super Meat Boy.
Oh, Meat Boy was good.
Yeah, Limbo, and Braid, I don't know if that was last year.
No, Braid was like 2008, I want to say.
That would have been after. Oh, yeah, that was before.
That was, I think, in the first. Really that was in the first Summer of Arcade, I believe.
Okay, yeah. I think that was out before I even had my Xbox 360, actually, now that I think of it. That was my first Xbox Live Arcade game. It was Braid. Yeah,
Braid was a really old game at this point.
I think it's cool that Serious Sam, the 2 encounters came out.
Oh, yeah.
I'm a Serious Sam fan. So that's just, I don't even know if they count, but it's like, because they're just, they're the actual game, right? They're not really remakes.
Yeah.
So that was good.
Yeah, well, there's a lot of games like that can fit on there. Yeah, so that makes sense. Do we have anything else? Go ahead. Sorry.
Super Meat Boy really stands out. That's another indie studio, Team Meat.
It's 2 guys there too.
Yeah, just 2 guys too. I'm super inspired by what they've done on Super Meat Boy.
Have you read their postmortems or like deals that they've had with Xbox Live Arcade, like the ordeals?
Jason, actually, we were at GDC in San Francisco, and Jason is my brother and like partner in Zona Games. So there's just 2 of us.
Yeah.
Jason went and listened to the postmortem, and I've actually read. I couldn't meet that because I had other things I needed to do at that time, but we kind of split up like that at GDC. So he was able to actually hear the actual postmortem, and I've read about it and heard what Jason had to say about it. So I'm pretty familiar with it.
Yeah. They went through hell and back just to get that game out in time, and Game Feast didn't really do too well.
Yeah.
Speaking of Game Feast, I just kind of wanted to say, Vane, have you heard of Hydrophobia?
Yes, I've heard of it.
Phil, have you heard of Hydrophobia?
Mm-hmm.
Now, are we all in agreement that game wasn't that great?
I can't say because I haven't played it, but...
So, I got the game for review, and that it was okay. The ending was the first time I think I've ever completed a game and my mouth just dropped. Not because it wasn't a great game, but because they ended it the way they did. And I couldn't believe the way they ended it. And I mean, I have total respect for the fact that they went back in and fixed the game generally. They put a patch out that basically just fixed all the bugs and added better controls and all that, which I have respect for. But I find the very ironic thing is that that game was episodic, and it was exclusive on 360. The next episode is so far only confirmed for PS3 and PC.
Wow.
And apparently this is the game that's supposed to be good. So have fun with that, Vane. When PSN's up, of course.
Yeah, whenever that is.
Yeah.
It's funny, Hydrophobia was part of that Super Meat Boy postmortem. Like that was one of the games that was kind of like that they were compared to, and Microsoft kind of. Do you remember that? I think it was. They said that Microsoft didn't really have faith in Super Meat Boy. I think they were projecting Super Meat Boy to be because this Games Beast was Hydrophobia, Super Meat Boy, and Comic Jumper. That's right. And those who didn't do as well as what they thought, I think.
Yeah, no, they were projecting Game Beast to be basically XBLA or not XBLA, Summer of Arcade standards, which it flopped in that sense in every way. I think because they're doing more of that. I mean, there was Games for Winter too, which had Elo Milo, A World of Keflings, and Rascals. But so Microsoft didn't really give too much help to Team Meat because of they projected that to be the least selling game of the bunch. But
that's right.
Yeah, and you know what though, and even though I'm not a fan of Hydrophobia, that I kind of feel bad that the whole thing flopped. Since Comic Jumper is one of my favorite games of last year, that was a great game. I feel like no one really liked that game as much as I did, though.
I loved that game. Actually, I bought it. I only played as much as the trial, and I bought it. I haven't played it still because I'm just busy. But yeah, I loved that game, even though I didn't necessarily like the gameplay. If that makes sense.
You know what?
Like,
that is exactly what me and Vane and Phil's friends, our friend Sam, he liked the trial, he bought the game, he played as much of the trial in the game, and then he stopped. Because apparently no one likes that gameplay. I love the gameplay. I think the dialogue is amazing. I really
do too. Yeah.
Like Twisted Pixel does a really good job, but I feel like they didn't really get too much love for that game compared to Explosion Man. Like immediately towered over that in terms of people's favorites. So
it's so weird, isn't it? Because Explosion Man is actually more simplistic, and they're not really that different in terms of games and this, and platformer base and whatnot.
Yeah,
the amount of the development that would have to go into Comic Jumper is insane. Like, and for that to actually perform less well doesn't really make sense to me.
There are so many game changers in Comic Jumper. I mean, 1 second you're doing a classic 2D platformer beat 'em up, the next you're running side by side in a Sin and Punishment kind of style. It changes up so much. I like that, but not a lot of people really like the whole change up thing. It's a bummer.
Yeah, it's too bad, really. I feel sad that game didn't do as well as I feel that it should have.
Yeah, because that game just recently also got a permanent price drop on it. But then again, I feel Microsoft's. I think me and Vane talked about this. The whole $15 standard thing that's coming around now shouldn't be happening.
Yeah, I'm still not used to it. I think which were the first two games to have? I think was Braid one of the first games.
Castle Crashers was $15, and I think.
One? Sorry.
Castle Crashers was, and I think Braid probably was too.
Yes.
Okay.
But there was so amazing that
Castle Crashers is definitely no doubt worth the $15, but in games like Shadow Complex are worth it. Trials, like all the big games are worth it, but there's so many other companies that try to push for this that I feel like they're losing more sales that they can, or more money in general that they could have had.
I agree with that.
$10 is definitely the sweet spot where $10 is still an impulse buy, because when people buy Microsoft points, you can buy two $10 games worth of that. So when you end up buying one $10 game, you're almost impulsed into spending the last 800 points into buying another game. But it's such a big investment into the $15 game because you essentially can't buy another game unless you're willing to spend out for a $5 or an indie game or anything else. People on the Xbox Live Arcade aren't going to have too much choices. So it turns everything around, and I mean, I feel bad for that, but then again, Comic Jumper is kind of edged back on what could have been a $15 game.
It's true.
Yeah, it sucks, but that's one problem that we have with it.
The last 3 games this week on Xbox Live Arcade, there's 3 games that came out. Outland was one, and then there's that Nin Jump, and then the Trouble Witches.
Yeah.
So anyway, 2 of those games are 800 points, and one's only 400 points.
Yeah.
So every once in a while, they still put out a 400-point game.
You know the deal with Nin Jump, right?
Sorry, what's that?
You know what the deal is with Nin 2 Jump or whatever it's called?
No, I don't actually.
I believe all proceeds go to Japanese relief.
Oh, I didn't know that. I knew it was made by Cave.
Yeah, no, it's all going to proceeds. So it has it's kind of like Chime, where it's really cheap and all of it's going to help them out. So if you have, I hear it looks really cool. Next time I get some points, I'll check it out. So I mean, if you guys are out there, buy that game, help them out, do some good causes. There you go.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
It's too bad that wasn't communicated on the dashboard because I only heard of the game on the dashboard so far, so I wasn't aware.
Yeah, no.
I didn't know that until after the fact.
Yeah.
That it had like a charity basis to it.
Yeah, the first achievement when you go into Chime is you help out the world. I love that.
That's really cool.
Yeah, so definitely, if you can check it out, that's good. Phil, Vane, you guys aren't talking.
Sorry about that.
No,
it just doesn't. I don't want to interrupt whenever you guys have a good flow going, so I just kind of sit back, let you guys say your piece.
No, I understand, and I feel bad for getting Phil on here because I feel. You know what, Phil, what games have you been playing recently?
Well, recently actually. Well, I delved into a bit of Portal 2. I've now just finished off.
Oh, okay. Here we go. All right. You like Portal 2, right? Right, Phil?
Yeah.
All right. Vane, say your peace offering here. How do you feel?
2. All right. Seems how he's insisting we have this fucking debate again. Let me put on the record once more that it's not that I hate Portal 2. It is a great game. It just fucking drags.
Phil, do you agree or disagree or what?
No, I'm not sure really. It helps if you're familiar with the original Portal, and then kind of.
See, that's the thing. I absolutely love the first game. I've read the comics. I am completely immersed in the Portal's world, and that's why I feel the second game drags. Because you turn around, you play for maybe 5-10 minutes, and in total, you get maybe a few lines that are actually dedicated to the story. You know, it's nice having all the witty banter. It's nice having Gladys back and the interactions with all the other characters and whatnot. But at the same time, it's like, okay, give me my story. You know, and going through and looking at all the wall paintings again, it's nice. But at the same time, especially towards the end, when you get about halfway through, and I'm trying to avoid saying any spoilers or anything.
Yeah.
But when you get to the point where shit just kind of goes upside down from what you were expecting, I'm just going to leave it at that. It's literally like, okay, you walk around, you go through 2 stages, and then it's like, oh, here's one line of dialogue that actually has anything to do with what's going on. Okay.
I mean, coming from not playing Portal yet, that's kind of the thing with the first one, though. I mean, you don't hear much about the story at all until literally the last boss.
But at the same time, with the first Portal, it was a short game, 2 hours.
Okay, wait. You're spending. How long are you in this? Have you beat the game yet?
Yeah, I haven't personally actually completely beaten it, but I got about halfway through myself, and I watched a friend finish the other half.
How long are you in the game?
I have about personally 10 hours in it, and that's including the co-op.
You're half. Oh, okay. Well, I still. Phil, you beat the game, right?
You want about Portal 1 or Portal 2? Sorry.
Portal 2.
Oh, yeah.
How what was your game time at the end?
I think the single player for me was about 10 or 11 hours, and the co-op was about 6 or 7.
Oh, okay. Wow, really? Because I'm hearing that game is like 6 or 8 hours. I guess that because I guess you guys are exploring the world. I'm assuming, right?
Yeah, I'm exploring the fuck out of it.
Okay. All right. Well, that makes more sense then, I guess. Well, I don't know, Vane. You're still Matt.
Again, I'm not saying that it is a great game. Do not get me wrong on this. It just feels like it fucking drags.
Matt, have you played Portal 2 or?
I've played them both. I've played the first one. I beat way back in the day, and I just beat it a few days ago. The still alive version on Xbox Live Arcade because it has like new levels or something. And I played Portal 2 till about chapter 7 or something, chapter 8. So I'm not sure how far that is, but so I kind of figured. Yeah. But the way I see Portal, the genius thing about it, I would have to I'm not sure if I'm not disagreeing from Vane or not, but basically, I just want to play. Like Portal 1, what it was, you just solve puzzles and you have a bunch of cool stuff, from GLaDOS and whatnot, kind of hinting at a story, but it's very funny. But really, it's just puzzles until you get to that. What was it? Chamber 19.
Yeah, 19 was the turning point there when you had to avoid the fire.
And then all of a sudden, that's when the game starts. Now you've just done like the precursor puzzles, but now the actual game starts. I kind of just looked at Portal 2 as the same way, and I actually loved that. I love that about the game. So when I'm playing Portal 2, like up to chapter 7 or wherever I'm at, and then not much story has kind of progressed, not much storyline has progressed, I guess. I think that's what Vane is saying, that really he wanted more of that, I think.
Yeah.
I was okay with that, because I'm still just solving puzzles right now, and I realize that I'm anticipating that the game is going to start at some point with the story and other things and whatnot, even though they're still puzzles, but you know how Portal kind of transformed, the first one transformed at that chapter, or that Chamber 19, it felt different. I was kind of anticipating something like that happening again, but like I don't know because I can't even spoil it because I'm not even sure if that's what happened.
Yeah, so. I want to play Portal 2 really badly right now.
Yeah, it's a retail game. Like I don't even buy retail games. I'm going to have to buy that game. I've only played it from a friend. The only reason I haven't bought it yet is because I haven't had really time. That's it.
All right, so we got all the Portal stuff out of the way. I need to figure out a way to get that game.
Portal is great.
Yeah, I'll ask my girlfriend for an early birthday present or something, even though my birthday's in December. Yeah, a little bit early. Am I still the only one playing? Well, Vane can't. I'm assuming Matt hasn't. Phil, you also are not in the Gears beta, aren't you?
I'm not actually, no.
That Gears beta is so good. Come on, you need to find a way into that beta, Phil.
I would, but I'm not really up for pre-ordering it, so.
Yeah, that makes sense, I guess. I guess I'm gonna, since all three, basically everything that's in the game is out now, was gonna be in the beta, everything's unlocked, so I'm going to play a little bit, get it all done out this weekend, and because now that Hulu Plus is on there, I am not playing Gears now. So, once again, GarageBand messed up, and apparently likes to mess up every time we have a guest on, so I hope that's not a curse. You guys didn't miss too much, though, so you guys missed a little bit of Red Dead talk. Nothing too crazy. I'd like to thank everyone that was on the podcast again. Thank you, Vane. Thank you, Phil. And thank you, Matt. You can find us all on Twitter. You can find Vane Zeiler at VAINZILER. You can find Phil at DSLemming, LEMMING. And you can find Matt at MDOUCETTE, MGSET. And you can find his website at Zona.com. That's XONA.com. And the ending song this week is going to be my favorite mix from DJ Hero, which is the Marvin Gaye and Gorillaz mashup of I Heard It Through the Grapevine and Feel Good Inc. If you guys have any questions, comments, suggestions, whatever, you guys can always feel free to post them on the YouTube link or email us at palutenasarmy@gmail.com. And that wraps it up. Thanks for listening, and goodbye.
Lining them up like, play these ponies, play these ponies. I'm stepping in harder this year. Yeah, man, repping in. Watch me as I grab it. Watch me as I we gon' ghost town, this Motown with your sound. You wake the dust, can't fight with us. With your sound, you so don't stop, get it, until you. About your plans to make